Kia ora, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I just had a dream last night and was kind of encouraged to talk about this topic today. And the topic is, have you ever been cheated upon or cheated on? I have no idea why this came up. However, I'm following my intuition and will be talking about it, and maybe give you some different perspectives on what it could mean or how you can deal with it. Yes, I have been cheated on a few times actually in my life, mainly in my marriage. And I still remember how much it hurt. There's no way to really describe it until you actually experience it. It's a really, really painful, uncomfortable experience. And often it relates to something that we have experienced a lot earlier in our childhood at some point. But even if we don't, let's just talk about this feeling of being cheated on. Often, or at least what I did and many other women do as well, we are kind of ashamed, and I felt something is wrong with me, that this has had to happen. And memories from my mom telling me that I will never be really good in bed, for example, or that I will never be good enough for a husband kind of surfaced. I never believed her. Obviously, I thought that's total idiotic. However, those little things did come up, and I thought there is something wrong with me. So before we go any further, I always want to assure you, if that ever happened to you, there is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with you. Over the years, I worked obviously with this topic, because the other thing that happens, I felt ashamed, and I just could not shake this. I could not just let it go, no matter what I tried. And even when I started with my two-pointing method, releasing not just the trauma, but releasing all the memories of the triggers, I still every now and then could feel something in the surface bubbling up. I believe now that there's always two sides to every story anyway, but there is no real reason as such, but if there would be a reason why I have been cheated on, it certainly lies in some of the beliefs that I was holding, and some of the subconscious behavior patterns that bring up opportunities and circumstances that prove to me that what I was holding in my subconscious as a belief were right. So some of these beliefs were, I'm just not good enough. I'm not attractive enough. I somehow was holding the belief that in order to attract a man, you have to be physically attractive. And I assume now this came from my childhood. I'm a twin, and not an identical one. My sister used to be the pretty one, and everybody was always calling her the pretty one. She had beautiful black hair when she was born and later on, and I initially had no hair whatsoever. We looked quite different. Some people even said we were possibly mixed up somewhere in the hospital. So I heard that the whole time, and what I heard about myself was I was the ugly duckling, or I was compared to a Russian politician called Khrushchev. Again, when I was little, I obviously didn't take any notice of this, but somehow this must have become a belief of mine. And then when you look at the media, or look at films, or look at anything, even fairy tales, it's always somehow the physical beauty. Yes, sometimes in fairy tales, the beauty inside too, but mainly a lot of emphasis is put on the outside of a person. So all these things bubbled up in my head. I I was actually a pretty confident person, but I was never a very confident, I was never confident being a woman. So I started losing weight. I started changing my outfits. I did things that felt I had to do, but they felt really uncomfortable inside because that was not really me. In the end, long story short, I really have worked with my two-pointing method on my subconscious beliefs that I was holding, especially the ones that were telling me I'm not good enough, I'm not attractive enough, and all these little things that are attached to what I believe a woman has to have in order to attract the man she wants. Something else came up though, and I really would want to share that with you too. I am, because of my childhood, I always have been a very independent person, and I never wanted to be dependent on a man, not financially, not in any other way, because I have experienced what that can do to a person at home. My mother had 3 young ones of us, and she was financially dependent on my father at the time, and all the stuff that he did to her and to us were just not what a childhood should be looking like, nor a marriage. So obviously, I certainly did not want that to happen to me. Out of that desire to be independent can also come beliefs that you are, or I'm not trusting anyone. And because I'm not trusting anyone, I also wouldn't trust a man, for that matter, in particular men. There are some beliefs attached to that as well that can actually also create circumstances that separate you from what you really want. What you really want usually is a deep connection, complete trust, and somebody to love you as you are. That's what you want. I realize now that I certainly have pushed away a lot of the people, and sometimes even my ex-husband in certain ways, not knowing this obviously, but now in hindsight, I can see that the desire to be completely independent can also be a real stumbling block or a real block to you or me experiencing a real connection and trust and the love that we so all desire. Yeah, so it's something that I wanted to share with you. The first thing obviously is there is never anything wrong with you. I can assure you, some people also are not really meant to be together. And sometimes we are attracted to something in that person that we are projecting onto that person. And for me, that was always confidence. I lacked confidence in me being a woman or being feminine, and therefore I was attracted to men that were confident. What I wanted was the confidence. Again, not understanding this, not consciously doing this, but in hindsight, I understand this now. So what can we do about it when we are being cheated on or when we are hurt? And this is something that will happen in our lives, and it will also happen again. I know sometimes I will be hurt again. However, I have learned, I have first of all removed a lot of the beliefs that I'm holding, and now I understand that everything that we experience, whether we call it the good or the bad or the ugly, is part of our lives, and nothing will stay permanently unless we are holding on to it. I think this is one of the most important lessons that I learned. When I hold on to, excuse me, to the pain or to the hurt, that's what's keeping that part in place. And all I want to say is find anything, whether it's the 2-pointing methods, whether it's meditations, whether it's yoga, find anything that helps you to detach the experience and the trauma attached to it, or the beliefs attached to it, or the emotions attached to it, release it so that the energy can flow again. We experience highs, lows, middles, everything in life, and embracing everything that's coming is the key to having, to allowing the process to work through us. Yes, sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's joyful, sometimes it's bad, kind of nothing, but holding on to something, holding on to the pain, holding on to the memory. How do we do that? By remembering it, by talking about it all the time, by telling us we will never be able to attract the person we really want because we are still holding on to that story. Will generate something different. There is always a truth behind or below the surface, always. So when we are being cheated on, when we are hurt, then allow the emotion to happen, allow the pain to be there, allow yourself to also express it in yourself, and curse the person, curse the moment, whatever helps you in that moment. And then after that, allow it to pass. Do not hold on to it, because that's the part that will keep you stuck, and that's the part that will keep the hurt alive. I hope this inspiration of sharing this with you is helping you in any way. If you are holding on to something that you somehow really can't let go of, just get in touch with me. And if you are interested in learning more about the method that has helped me to release all this, to have a different perspective on those situations that can be really painful, then just contact me, PM me, or just send me an email. I would love to support you on your journey. Have a beautiful day, evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Bye for now.